The Yellow Vest movement was sparked more than a month ago by a fuel tax increase. This week, the president backflipped on the policy, but it was too late.
The medicine, the education, everything is going down. You must always pay more taxes. Why do we pay so many taxes? Because the rich don't pay, so we pay for them.
It's amazing the MSM is even reporting on these protests and riots. You don't get to see the ones in Venezuela or a lot of other countries, but they're showing it here. But what they don't do is tell the actual truth about these riots. So what they've set up there is that old sort of, there's just a battle between the workers and the rich. That's all it is, but it's not. It's the external people that are after the resources of their countries. That's the actual situation. Because the French people are in the same boat as people in all other countries. Global trade deals that people you're not allowed to see, of course. They move productive industries out of like targeted countries that are like prosperous or they have a lot of natural wealth. So the only currency that you have to run your economy is those fraudulent loans from international banks that they make it up out of nothing. You saw that if you watched that video that I recently did on Greece. That's how they do it. Now that's the only place to get currency from to run the economy because you have to import everything. You can't generate you can't generate sort of wealth from outside of the country through exports because you haven't got any industries left. So you have to import everything. So these higher taxes that he's talking about, he's already said they don't go to schools or anything like that. All those services are disappearing. All these taxes are going straight to the interest payments on the debt, because all the industry has moved out. So there's no production. It's not going to schools or anything like that. These global trade deals, they result in a straight transfer of wealth from people like this guy to the banks. And France isn't there yet, but once they reach debt default like Greece, they're going to lose all their public assets as well. You have 50 years of austerity like the Greeks, but that's permanent. That 50 years is just an arbitrary number. They got crippling taxes. And essentially, the Greeks are in debt slavery, and they ultimately want the French to also be in debt slavery. Now, these timelines to send countries into debt default, like Greece, Venezuela, and a lot of countries on the way to debt default, like Australia and obviously France, these are all plotted and planned for down to the exact timelines at the Bilderberg meetings, the Trilateral Commission, the Council on Foreign Relations, as well as the headquarters of all the banks. They're plotting it right down to the last, within probably a year or two of what they want to achieve. They know these protests are imminent, and they need resources to quash the people when they do protest. And that's where all these resources have come from, is if you look at this tank here and all the police, just watch this little video.
By hand and by tank.
And all that heavy armament and all those police numbers, imagine if they didn't have that, the protest might actually, not be able to be quashed. But fortunately, there were all those terror events that they had to bring in all the laws and all of these resources. Yeah, they were all staged specifically so they could have the resources to deal with the protests. And look, truthers know that. If you're new to the truth world, just know that to be so. That all those hoaxes, Boston bombing, Nice, all that stuff in Australia, and they stage it in one country, but they bring in laws worldwide. All nations, governments going to have these resources to quash the people as these protests start to come online. One might ask, well, what if the protests are peaceful? What if there's just no violence and the people just, are anti-government and continue to be anti-government until they wear the government down and eventually people power wins out and they get their countries back? I mean, they can't deploy these resources on a peaceful protest, can they? Well, no, but they've got that covered as well.
It was soon clear some of the Gilets jaunes, or Yellow Vest group, had been infiltrated by extremists.
What she doesn't explain there is why would someone who's trying to change the government's mind but not want the government to, quash them with force, then conduct activities to give the government an excuse to use force, and that would be counterproductive to their cause. Well, of course, she's just saying, just extremists, they just don't really know what they're doing. Now, the extremists, we all know, are plants from the bankers, and they always are. Any extremist that does something crazy, they join the ranks of the normal people, do something stupid, and I guarantee you, none of the actual people that do throw anything through shop windows or turn cars over, the police know that they're working for their side, so they're not going to arrest them. They then just charge at the normal people. Oh, look, we've got to stop these turning over of cars. So yeah, they got that covered as well. So that's another one of their tactics. So that's it. Look, this clip went on a bit longer, but look, that's it. That's basically the French riots in a nutshell. Just the bankers using tactics to quash the people to stop them from having their countries taken over. It's not about just a battle between rich and poor and who pays the taxes. This is a battle about trying to keep your country. All right, that's it.